Welcome to Symplicity Conversations, where we explore the intersection of business, leadership, technology, and community. Today, I'm joined by Jon Butler, Chief Revenue Officer at Kyros Digital. They're a leader in custom software and digital solutions. We'll dive into his career, the mission of Kyros Digital, and how emerging technologies like AI are reshaping businesses today. But let's first dive into our Symplicity insights. This is our famous quote of the day. Do not wait for leaders. Do it alone, person to person, from Mother Teresa. I love that. I think that's so important as we deal with fake data and AI and people kind of sometimes losing their creativity, like the person to person, like really having conversations, right? So be sure to subscribe to Symplicity Conversations to hear from more leaders and innovators who are shaping the future of technology and businesses at thesimplepodcast.com. So Jon, how exciting for you to be here.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Jon, you were my first person that reached out to say, I'd love to be on the podcast. I mean, we were going out and recruiting. I've been doing this since January. So I've kind of started announcing, hey, if you know anybody that you think would be a great guest, let me know. And on social media, we ask for guest suggestions. So I thought it was so cool, when you reached out and we were like, yes, let's bring this person on. Especially, AI is the buzzword in technology, and it's confusing. It can mean 1,000 different things. So I think having conversations about AI, is really important for organizations like myself at Symplicity. But let's talk about your career journey. Walk us through your path from technology in the digital space.
Yeah. So first off, thanks for having me. And I reached out because you're somebody that I definitely looked up to on social media, on LinkedIn especially, with your leadership and what you guys are doing at Symplicity. And, my thought was really like, I think this person will get it. Like, will understand the conversation where, AI is, you can talk about it high level and you can really get into the weeds.
Oh, for sure.
And high level is fun, but it's surface, right? It's ChatGPT.
Yep.
It's getting on, Claude and
right.
asking it questions about build me a weekly recipe for my family.
Yeah.
But it can do so much more than that, especially for like the everyday user. So, I guess kind of like looking at my career, I've always been in sales. And so my first sales role was actually my junior year of high school. I did telemarketing for a lawn care company.
Wow.
And so going all the way back then, so got into software in 2011 and was doing software sales from 2011 till currently. Up until recently, so fast forwarding quite a bit, in the turn of the year, so in January 2025, I started looking at all these different AI tools to kind of help supplement myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kyros was deep into AI. We had built our first AI product in 2019. It was kind of like a Calendly competitor called Sidekick. And so as I was looking at these tools, I've got 2 young kids. So my daughter is going to be 4 in March and my son will be 2 in March.
Oh, busy.
And so you're very busy, right? And I was starting to neglect social media. And as my kids were getting older, I realized like I need to get back into this. And I need to start creating content because I'm the type of person who just gets laser focused on stuff and it's just head down doing the work. But as you know, right, you need to be active on social media. And so your quote in the beginning of this is kind of funny because it hits home for me. So in January, I was like, all right, everybody's making these New Year's resolutions. I'm going to be more active on social media and I'm going to start with LinkedIn, right? And so I knew that I wanted to start producing content, but I was just not comfortable on video. I'm too critical of myself. I, will not like the way I sound or I'll want to over edit.
Yeah.
And
or there's a wrinkle, something.
Right.
We're so
the
critical of
lighting's
ourselves.
bad, right? It's just you're looking all over the place. It's just, there's always something you can nitpick on.
Yeah.
And so I found this tool called HeyGen. And so HeyGen is where you can make AI avatars of yourself that will, do video content. I don't know if you're familiar with HeyGen or not.
I'm not, but I'm making a note.
Yeah, so you can make an AI avatar of yourself. You can feed it a script, and you can give it your voice, and it will do a video of you. And so I hooked that up to Airtable and to OpenAI, and I fed it all this content, and it was making one video per day that was posting on LinkedIn for me. And so, like you said, like there's a lot of noise out there. Well, that's kind of what this is. And so as this was posting, I was diving more into all these tools and figuring out how to automate sales processes and things like that. But without getting like too far into the weeds, I came across this guy on, I can't remember if it was TikTok or Instagram, but he said, watch me build Angry Birds in 60 seconds. And I was like, holy cow, like that doesn't seem possible. And everybody's heard of Angry Birds. So, you have a lot of information on how to build it. And he pulls up Cursor. And I don't know if you've heard of Cursor before or not, but he pulls up Cursor and he gives it a prompt. And sure enough, AI just starts ripping and it builds Angry Birds in 60 seconds. And I was like, man, like this is probably going to be the way of the future. If you can build something this quickly with just these few prompts, this is really going to go.
Right.
And I was admittedly, I've never written a line of code, even to this day. Everything that I've done, from when I started this journey to now, it's all been just copy and pasted and knowing where things are supposed to go. But so I realized like I need to get involved with this. I need to figure out how to leverage this tool. And I had heard of Cursor before because our engineers at Kyros were supplementing themselves with it.
Right.
And so I went to our CTO and I was like, hey, is this something that I could learn how to do? And like, do you think I could start to build projects on this? And he's like, it wouldn't hurt. And like, worst case scenario, you learn more while you're talking to clients and being able to, talk to them about their projects and things like that. So I YouTube University'd my way through it, set it all up, and started to build my first projects.
I love that. YouTube University. Yeah. That's a fact.
It's a fact. And so as I started building this, I just got addicted, and I kind of got like an OCD personality where once I start something, it's like I got to see it to the end. Wow. The problem is like AI doesn't really have a finish line. There's always new things that you can be learning.
Right.
So I realized like, I really wanted to get into this. I really wanted to teach myself how to be a vibe coder, right? The vibe coder term. Because of this one problem that I had. I have all these ideas for software, but because the amount of bandwidth that our company has and the commitment it takes to be able to generate these new products, we were never able to really like do more than one or maybe two per year. And then we always had to figure out the risks, right? Do these SWOT analysis on these projects to determine if it's even something that we wanted to take on. Because Kyros, as a business, right, we're a custom software development agency, but we're working mostly on client projects, right? A lot of the work that we did was staff aug work for, larger organizations where we were supplementing their already existing team of engineers.
Okay.
Or we were helping them with new initiatives and building teams for them.
So let's dive into that a little bit. So how long has the company been around? How was it started?
Yeah.
For those that aren't familiar.
So Kyros has been around since 2016.
Okay.
And so, looking at Kyros, kind of like your typical software development agency where we have a pretty good mixture of working with larger organizations on internal technology, all the way up to people coming to us with an idea on a napkin and building something from scratch.
Got it.
And, we're a relatively small shop. So we would do anywhere from probably 15 to 20 projects per year. And I think at our peak, we had right around like 30 engineers on staff.
Yeah.
So nothing crazy. But as you know, all these projects, they take a team of like 3 to 5, sometimes more. And it's like 8 to 12 months to get something done.
Right.
Because the way technology is moving so fast, that can create some challenges.
Yeah.
Right? So as I'm heading down this path of teaching myself how to vibe code, I'm also realizing that I'm able to start doing all these side projects, all these ideas that I had, all these projects that would die in the Notes app on my iPhone.
Right.
I can now start prompting these different builders to be able to start to generate these ideas. And if nothing happens with them, whatever, but it's not taking me very long.
Right.
It's taking me, on average, projects were taking me anywhere from an hour to a day to be able to take like idea to proof of concept or prototype. And so that was a lot of fun for me. I got addicted to it. And from there, I started to like find a lot of problems with these vibe coders. And so that's kind of like what I was looking forward to talking to you about today is really how I'm solving some of these problems.
Yeah, that's cool. What I'm starting to hear already, we just had an event at our facility recently that talked about data and analytics and with AI. And I think that people see AI as ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, whatever. And that's just one little teeny piece of it.
Yeah.
I think that they're scared about like, it replaces jobs. There's going to be so many more jobs created because of AI versus the ones being taken away. In fact, I feel like the real value that humans bring to the equation of human and AI is curiosity. And you talk about, how you're like, oh, how can I do this now? That's that natural curiosity, as well as empathy that AI is not going to have. You have to tell it, you have to prompt it.
Right.
And then it can tie things together. But we're the ones saying, I'm curious why that happened or how that happened, or if this happens, what happens? And then throw in the empathy. But I think there's a lot of room for easy, redundant tasks that we don't want to do anyways, to throw that over and automate and save the more complex stuff to say, how can I take this in a direction? How can I have all of these areas and maximize that? And I think that executives in companies and leaders, when they're trying to think about, they're just saying, we need to automate. We need to use AI. Or worse, they'll say, nope, not allowed to use it. Our policy is we don't use ChatGPT. Well, 44% of your employees are using it, whether you approve it or not. Right. They're doing it. Right. That's the latest stat that I've seen. But I think that really trying to incorporate that in and acknowledging it's there and exists and what can you do with it. At the end of the day, a business is in business to produce revenue, right? So we've got to increase revenue, reduce expenses.
Yeah.
That's the equation. So how do you bring that in to take some of the projects that, like you've talked about, like we didn't have time to do them before and now we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's a good point you bring up when looking at how these businesses are leveraging these tools, and they all know that they should be doing it or that they want to be doing it, but most of them, they don't really know how, and they don't know like the why. It's just like they should.
And I think what I learned at this event is the data that a company owns, to me, is one of their most precious assets. aside from their employees, right?
Yeah.
The data.
Yeah.
But they've got it siloed. They have this platform that has data, that platform that has data, especially the larger the company, the more their data is not integrated. So then you start doing AI, you start automating different things, and it's garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to have governances, you have to have compliance, you have to understand, do I have a right to this data? Where's the data coming from? And am I contractually, is it available to me to use?
Right.
Because it might not be. You look at your contracts of where that data comes, especially if you're in healthcare or, fintech. Do you have the right to use it?
Yeah.
So, wow. I mean, we could go in so many directions, but you know what I mean? It's like, I think that as we're in the early stages of how people are thinking about AI.
And I think it's only going, obviously it's only going to become more. And you look at the current workforce and you mentioned they probably are using it, whether it's allowed or not.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about too, the workforce that's coming in, all these college students.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting to the point where it's almost a pandemic where they're overusing AI so much, and these universities are creating tools to be able to catch people that are using AI on projects.
Yeah.
So I won't even get into that, but there's some tools
it's a
out
whole
there that
nother
are
podcast.
wild, where they can even see if you turned in a PDF or a Word document, there's tools that you can plug that Word document into, and it can even show where you were editing in ChatGPT to see how much you actually use ChatGPT for, and how much of the content you wrote is actually your own content.
Yeah, no, I agree. And copyright issues. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, think about the next 10 years of how we're using it. How people, I mean, we hear it in the music industry all the time, the copyright challenges.
Yeah.
I think that what we're going to navigate the next 10 years because of AI is exciting. It's going to be frustrating, as business owners. It's like, what do you want your employees to do? You want them to use their creativity and innovation, but we have to be careful of, am I going to get in trouble because they copyright something out of ChatGPT and now I'm liable for it?
It's definitely a risk, but I think with all things, if you put the proper, protocols in place,
I think so.
You can safeguard it.
Yeah.
So, I would say when looking at these different tools and figuring out there's always avenues that you can take, right? If you want your data to be protected, you can build your own LLM. And so you don't have to just rely on mainstream what you hear. If you don't want to use OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini, right? Facebook's Meta, they've got a great open source LLM, Llama, where you can
think so
build
many
your
platforms. So many platforms have it.
A lot of people don't even know about that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of opportunities out there for businesses to leverage it.
What excites you most?
Well, for me, it's the ability to create at such speed, and that's really kind of what I'm after right now.
Right.
Is what used to take months and years now take minutes and hours, and so when you're looking at what you said about people being scared about AI taking jobs, it's never going to take jobs. What it really is going to do is it's going to give everybody a promotion.
Right.
And so instead of an employee that's a doer, that employee becomes a manager, where they now are managing 10, 50. I mean, kind of what I'm looking at, I'm managing 10,000 AI agents with some of the tools that I'm using.
Right.
And thinking about what I'm able to produce, I'm able to do it at a volume that, a few months ago is unheard of.
Right.
So taking a step back kind of on my journey, as I start using these tools, I'm finding new ones every single day, and I'm finding better tools and ways to kind of augment and supplement these tools to kind of reach my goals. But the starting goal was always to be able to take my idea, and turn it into software, right? You know just as well as anybody
Yeah.
that most businesses require a software to be able to function.
Yeah.
And so all of these ideas, especially being in software sales, right? They're all software ideas.
Yep.
And so as I'm starting to do this and as I'm getting into the weeds more and more using these AI builders, and I was trying out all of them. So there's Cursor, there's Replit, there's Lovable, there's Bolt. There's probably 20 plus. And they're the biggest growing companies on the planet right now.
Wow.
For a reason.
Yeah.
People love them. I saw a stat a month or so ago, and I think it was Lovable claimed that 23,000 new projects are started every day on Lovable.
Wow.
But the problem is not very many of those get launched, if any. And so that is what I was finding on my journey, is that these AI builders, they're geared around instant gratification, right? I would be able to open up my laptop and I'd be able to say, all right, Catherine, like, what do you want to build today? You say, oh, I got this idea for, a website that does XYZ and it pulls, from my Google Drive and it integrates with Slack. And I say, all right, cool, let's get this built. So we start plugging everything in, and all of a sudden we've got this beautiful dashboard and all these great visuals. But kind of what happens is these AI builders, they're built on, it's a house built on a foundation of sand. And so, like you said earlier, these AIs, they're very smart, but they're also very stupid. Mm-hmm. And an analogy that I like to use a lot is that if you think of AI, it's like you tell AI, hey, I've got a board and I've got a screw. I need you to put the screw into the board. And how its reasoning will work is it'll say, all right, I've got a board, I've got a screw. So what puts things into wood? Well, hammers put things into wood. All right, I'm going to hammer the screw into the wood. Well, you and I know, like, that's not, you use a screwdriver or a drill for that.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of like how they're going to work when a human is prompting them conversationally. They just kind of put all those things together, which leads these AI builders to produce vaporware, essentially. Mm-hmm. So it looks really good, and it's great for a prototype, but it doesn't serve the purpose. Like it doesn't get across the finish line.
Doesn't get the job done.
And so that's what I was finding in all these projects that I was building. Wow. I was getting them like 80% of the way there, but when it came time to actually launch the projects, they were just so buggy, and I wasn't able to fix anything that I was working on, and I would end up scrapping the project and either starting over or just being like, well, that was a good learning experience. So the first thing I did is I was like, well, knowing what I know about software development, I know that the first stage is being able to architect the project, right? Mm-hmm. You need to know all the things that need to go into the box.
Right.
And if you just go to a developer and say, hey, I want you to build me a CRM, and I want it to be a hybrid of ZoomInfo and Salesforce, what are they going to build off of just that?
Right.
So, what do we think as humans saying like, hey, I'm going to tell the AI to do this. It's going to whip something up and it'll look okay, but it's not going to do what you want it to do.
Right.
Because it doesn't have all the understanding.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of giving you like a nice front end, and that's it. So the first thing I knew I needed to do was be able to architect all these projects out. And I know everything that needs to go into these blueprints, but I didn't really know how to build everything out because I didn't have the technical background. I just know that I've seen hundreds, right, if not thousands of these. And what I could do is I could train an AI agent, a specialist, to be able to generate these blueprints for me. So that's what I set off to do is create a custom AI agent where I could give it all of the information about this project, and it could put together a comprehensive technical blueprint to be able to give to these AI builders. Wow. So that way the AI builder doesn't have to think. It just turns into a construction crew, and it knows, all right, I've got a board. It needs to go here. I need to cut it this length. It needs 10 screws, and I need to use a drill to put the screws into the board.
Got it.
It doesn't have to make its own decisions because it's all laid out for it. So now I've solved the issue that was happening with the Vaporware, right? By being able to give these AI builders this comprehensive technical blueprint. So now I'm starting to cook, and now I'm having a lot of fun because it's not just building these visuals anymore. I'm taking projects and I'm flipping them over in a couple days, and people are able to use them, right? They're starting to work, and they're like, this is fantastic. And so by being able to do that, these projects that used to take 8 months, a year, and a big team are now taking me, 5 4-hour sprints.
Wow.
Right? So a half a week to be able to do. Well, now I can build this software for a lot less because it's not taking me near the amount of time to be able to do it. Now I still, I charge more than like $150, dollar an hour agency rate.
Right.
Because of the expertise that goes into this.
Exactly.
But it's still costing probably 10% of what these softwares would normally cost from a traditional developer standpoint. So with that, I'm building these out, and I'm getting very excited about it. So I'm starting to produce video content, kind of like the guy that built the Angry Birds.
Yeah.
And I'll give that guy a shout out. I don't really know his name. I think his name is Yanni Man on like Instagram and TikTok. So
Cool.
that sticks. People can look it up. But so I'm starting to produce this content on the projects I'm building. I'm like, hey, watch me build this CRM, in 60 seconds. And I'll fast forward it as the AI agents are working.
Yeah.
And so the clients were like, hey, this isn't really like proprietary stuff. I don't have it trademarked, but I don't want anybody seeing, what we're building together before you see it. I'm like, oh yeah, like obviously, like I should have known better. I was just so excited.
Oh yeah,
about the speed that I was able to produce these.
True.
And just kind of wanted to get that information out there. And so I was like, well, I'm working on anywhere from like 3 to 6 projects per week, and so that's enough to keep me busy, but I've got all this extra time, right? Because I'm only spending probably, per week, I'm probably like part-time doing this. I still have other responsibilities at the business, but I had a lot of extra time to continue to build these out. So I was like, well, I don't have enough ideas to make a video a day. I've got some good ideas, but not enough to make a video a day. And I was finding that I was spending more time thinking about ideas of content to make than I was actually building the software for clients.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I'll just solve this with software. And so I built out a technical blueprint of a tool that would generate why doesn't this exist software ideas for businesses, and give me these ideas, and then I could make that as just like throwaway software basically, but I could use it for marketing material to get more clients.
Wow.
And so I make this tool live, and I call it Ideaventory, just a random name that popped into my head. And as I launched the video, it kind of goes mini viral, and people are like, this is awesome. Like, I would love to get on a software where it would give me like a bunch of different ideas for, why doesn't this exist software?
Right.
And they're like, how do I use this? I'm like, I can't really, like, this is just a tool that I made for myself. And so people just keep hounding me. And they're like, I need to use this, man. And I would get like buddies and random people on TikTok in different countries that would want to use this. It's like, well, maybe
there's something here.
Could be like a business. Maybe I'll do something with this. And so I start to look at what it would take to actually turn it into a SaaS product. And as I'm starting to build it, and I'm starting to think more about it, and there's all this uncertainty with people, as far as like trying to create additional streams of revenue.
Right.
They're looking at all these different opportunities to be social media influencers or to do drop shipping or whatever. But there really wasn't anything for people doing software as a side hustle. And so what I wanted to do was create an ecosystem where anybody could go into this thing and they would be able to basically either come to it with an idea of a software that they wanted to create or be inspired by software ideas, be able to get the technical blueprints for that idea, and then take it to whatever AI builder they want, and with a couple nights and weekends, be able to have launch their own software with this tool. So that was kind of my goal and my mission with this. So Ideaventory, it's up, it's running, it's live.
Wow.
And you can go to it and you get 7 daily ideas. And the really cool thing, after I launched this, I realized that AI has this problem, and it's convergence. And so, are you familiar with AI convergence? Mm-hmm. So I had this idea. I was at the park with my kids, and I called it a girl on a swing theory. And so it was funny. So my daughter was on the swings, and to the left of her was another little girl right around the same age, was wearing a similar dress and had her hair done in braids almost the exact same way.
Wow.
And to the right of her, exact same thing. So 3 girls, very different girls.
Not related.
Not related, but they all kind of look the same. They're all kind of dressed the same. They're all on a swing set. And I was like, I wonder if I asked AI to generate 100 unique images of a playground, just of a playground, how many of them would come back with a girl on a swing? Knowing that based on the AI training model data, girls are more photogenic than boys, and a swing is a universal piece of playground equipment. Mm-hmm. And the answer is 60 to 70% of those images would be a girl on a swing, and they'd be right around the same age, because kids that are on playgrounds are, between a certain age. And so I started to think about this, and I was like, well, my algorithms, my engines that are coming up with these unique business ideas that are trying to find opportunities, these, why doesn't this exist?
Right.
Business idea. What I'm going to end up creating is a bunch of Ubers and Lyfts. And so I'm going to get Catherine that buys Uber, and then I'm going to get, person B that buys Lyft, and I'm going to create these competitors.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And so I was able to architect a convergence prevention engine. So that's kind of the really cool thing about Ideaventory, is that whatever ideas you see, nobody else will ever see those ideas. And if you purchase one of these blueprints, so they're cheap. They're
It's off the market.
$27 a blueprint,
Yeah.
so it's not crazy. If you purchase one of these blueprints, nobody else will be able to buy a competitor of that blueprint.
What's really cool about that, John, is one of my favorite books is called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She's the person who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And the concept is that there's these ideas that come to people, and if you don't do anything with it, it moves on to the next person. And it's almost like that. That's what it immediately related it back to, like, I better grab this idea and do something with it, or somebody else is going to get it. And it's not going to be available to me. But I think that's it's cool. And as I looked at your background, all of these different, you're building on what you're learning, like, oh, I need to put a guardrail here, right? But I loved that you put on your LinkedIn your failures too. Like this, here's this company that I worked, but this one, failed.
Yeah.
But I think that's so important to as these journeys, no matter what it is you're working on, that you put in, this worked, this didn't work, but in the end, it all evolves. And I think that AI for businesses, no matter what it's solving, if you're creating software, if you're creating processes, if people are creating, content, videos and images, you have to, keep looking at what is working, where is there compliance? Is there things that I have to think about? And I think that we have to give advice to people. Or maybe not advice, but we have to take the experiences and have people say, what's the best way to do this? Because as business owners, we're trying to solve problems. You're trying to solve problems. You're trying to allow people to do what you're doing. Hey, I want to empower people to be curious. And if they want to create something out of it, you're giving them a tool to do that.
Yeah.
But they have to have the drive, ambition, curiosity to take it and do it. You're going to lead them to water. They have to drink.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's so confusing and complex some people just won't even because, AI, I don't know. They won't even try. But I think that the younger generation coming in is more open to trying and let's see what I can do with this.
Yeah. That's a good point. And for me, the biggest thing was that this owning your own software and being like a solopreneur and having a software was kind of like this unattainable thing, right? There's no way that this, random stay-at-home parent or this person that's working kind of like a dead-end 9 to 5.
Yeah.
How are they going to be able to, if they don't have a technical background, if they're not a developer, how can they ever get involved in software?
Yeah.
And the truth is they probably couldn't.
They wouldn't.
And so that's really the tool that I wanted to make, was just for the everyday person to be able to say, like, I want to have a software in my portfolio.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's, maybe I coined this, maybe I didn't, but I started calling it SaaSH, software as a side hustle, because that's cool. What I wanted the thing to be. And so as I was continuing to build on this, right, because I was able to iterate so quickly and basically like these 1.0s, 2.0s, 3.0s, whatever, were happening in a day or an hour, I started to think about, well, what else do I need to add to this? So I started building new engines and I started adding new algorithms and I built a venture studio inside Ideaventory. So, people could post their projects and kind of have like a showcase of everything that they're working on, with the idea that all these people, they want to create like the next unicorn.
Right.
It doesn't happen. And if you go into software with like, hey, I want this to be a lottery ticket, it's a lottery ticket, right? So your chances of hitting are pretty low. Yeah. But if you are able to purchase 10 lottery tickets or 100 lottery tickets, like your chances go up a little bit.
Right.
And if you start to think of them not necessarily as lottery tickets, but like scratch offs or Keno, chances go up even a little bit more. And so that was kind of the next piece and the next evolution to this ecosystem, was creating this venture studio where if people were producing this software as a side hustle, you don't have to just do one. If you can do one every 2 weeks or one every month, now you can build 12 in your portfolio and you can continue to grow. And maybe 3 out of the 12 generate a couple $1,000s a month. Right. Well, for your time investment, that's pretty good. Right? Yeah. People would be pretty happy with that. And if maybe the, 20, 50 that you make in a year, let's say, if one of them is the next unicorn, well, it's because you had a much better chance at doing that when you're creating, dozens per year than just one every 18 months. Wow. So anyways, that's Ideaventory. And so that was definitely a passion project of mine, is creating this outlet for people to be able to produce their own software and kind of like fast track the journey that I took. That took me 5-6 months to be able to figure out, because there's a lot of challenges that go into using these AI builders, and Ideaventory kind of like skips the learning curve with all of that.
But empowers people to create side hustles, which the concept of side hustle, I think the last 5 years or so, as we've watched influencers create, like they're creating content, they can quit their jobs because their side hustle became popular, right? But I think you're empowering people to think differently. You don't have to just do a 9 to 5. Yeah. But you could stack these things.
Yeah.
You don't just have to have one. You could create different content, whether it's video, reviewing products, right? Or creating software. Like I would have never thought for me, like to create software.
Yeah. And even, if you think about it too, almost everybody is an expert in something. And if you know a lot about a certain space and you can think about how to leverage software to improve that.
Yeah.
Well, now you're looking at these side hustles, but maybe you're looking at taking software to almost augment yourself to improve performance. So that's even
100%.
another
Think about
opportunity.
that. Even if you are in a normal career job, how to leverage AI to do that. I mean, I think people use ChatGPT like Google.
Yeah.
Right. I know I don't Google anymore because I feel like one of the AI models will give me a better picture. Like if you ask Google, tell me
Tell you
this.
The last time I Googled something.
Yeah. It's like, I don't think that's the thing
But
anymore.
I've got a secret for you that I'll tell you after this.
I can't wait. But, like if you ask us a question in Google, it tells you, here's the answer. When I do that in chat, which I named my chat GPT, he's Alfonso. When I ask Al, hey, tell me what do I need to know about this? Or tell me about this, look up something. It gives me so much more context with it. It's not just answering the question. It's saying, and then it'll say, well, would you like me to do that? I mean, just it's so much more powerful that people can use that to be better, to not just do things faster, but really, what do I need to think about? If I'm in a job and I'm trying to write standard operating procedures on a new idea, what else should I do? Give me a plan, give me a vision statement, give me so many more items. And I think people are just scratching the surface. They're not using AI. It's like our brains, we use such a small percentage.
Yeah.
Using a small percentage of AI. And I think that how much more we can do personally and professionally with it. If you think about what you hear people using ChatGPT for, I'm going to go up to the UP, plan me a route. Oh my God. There's so much more.
Right. And even if you're leveraging different AI agents to work together, it's crazy the amount of things that you can automate away that just make life so much easier. But what I will tell you, so I can't tell you the last time I Googled either.
Yeah.
And I learned this probably in the last 45 days. So there's a new tool out there. And I got frustrated with this, and it really started to open my eyes. So I'm big into fantasy football. I really love fantasy football, and I play in a 14-person league with buddies from high school.
Okay.
And so it's guys that I've known forever, and we really like to talk a lot of smack to each other, so it's super competitive. And as I'm building all of these different AI products, I'm thinking, well, how can I leverage AI to give me a competitive advantage? And so I start looking into that, and I start building these agents, and I start putting all this stuff together. And I build something really cool, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I'm going to dominate these guys. I cannot wait. And I'm like sending them pictures of this thing that I'm making. I'm like, you guys wait to the draft. I'm going to crush you. And so as I'm doing this, I realize that it's having a very hard time. And I'm using Anthropic and Gemini for the API calls to pull data.
Yeah.
And I'm having them kind of like cross-reference each other. And I'm also, using Grok to be able to leverage different Twitter accounts and look at these beat reporters because they're coming out with the most recent information. But I'm noticing like stuff is wrong. And it's stuff that I would just know. It would say like this player's injured. Player's not. I know that player's not injured.
Wow.
Or this player that recently was traded, it will give information on the old team. And I'm just like, this is very confusing because half of this stuff is right, but half of it is very wrong. And I know that when I would have ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Perplexity or whatever go do research for me, I would kind of just trust it. But this I didn't trust because I just got all this random knowledge from, 20 plus years of playing fantasy football that the stuff would stick out to me like a sore thumb. And so I started looking at the amount of accuracy that these AI agents produce, even when on deep research and even when you're telling it to go search the internet. So the problem is that these AI agents, they're designed to be helpful above all else.
Yeah.
They want to be helpful. And by being helpful, it creates errors and it creates it causes them to hallucinate.
Right.
And so as I started looking into this, I was like, man, this won't work. Like the AI agents are confusing their training model data, which for some of them haven't been updated since January 2025. So it's pulling old information.
Right.
And then they are also fabricating information. So it would pull a tweet from like an Adam Schefter, for instance, and it would timestamp it as within the last 18 hours.
Wow.
And I would have it include a link so I could go look at it, and I would go click on it, and it's from last year.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, this thing is just straight up lying to me about everything.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a problem, because if we're looking at all of this information that these AI agents are producing for us, and we know that they're designed to be helpful, and I already knew that from some of the other instances that I was, having to deal with debugging with these AI builders. I was like, well, I got to find another solution because this isn't going to work.
Right.
This is going to cause issues for my projects.
And thinking about people in companies that are trying to use this without that critical thinking, they're just taking face value.
Right.
And it's
copy
paste. And it's like, that's just such a dangerous place to be in.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, that's where it's like, okay, how do we have those guidelines and uses? And oh my gosh, we need another hour. Jon, you're going to have to come back because we scratched the surface on very little of our questions. But how exciting is it to think about opportunities because of AI?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about opportunities of people to be empowered to a side hustle. I'm talking about where this is going to go. You coming back in a month or 2 months or 3 months, all of those times,
probably
something's going to be totally different. But it is an exciting time. I say it's kind of technology sexy again, Yeah. It's like, I couldn't have been in the most boring, like circuits is when I started my company. I was doing circuits and PRIs and just voice circuits. And now we're getting into so many more cool projects. But I'll probably have Erin come on. She's in that customer experience and automation background. And so to have you two on really kind of diving into this would be so cool. But thank you so much for joining me today and just kind of talking through idea.
I felt like we were in here for 15 minutes.
Exactly. It really does. It really does.
I sit behind a computer all day.
I know. So go find Jon Butler, Kyros Digital on LinkedIn. Connect with them. Check out Ideaventory.
Ideaventory. Yeah.
Ideaventory.
Like idea inventory.
I know. I was kind of pulling that together. That's so cool. But thank you so much for being here. And thank you for listening to Symplicity Conversations. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and visit us at thesimplepodcast.com. You're going to connect and learn about inspiring leaders like Jon that are using AI to just change the way we think about what we do. See you next time.